So sort of a good news, bad news situation here. Good news is that there are no other videos that I can find that show the impeller replacement for kind of a mid-sized Tohatsu. This is the M40D, 40 horsepower, same as the Nissan. Going to replace the impeller. Bad news is I have never done anything like this before in my life, so it isn't really a how-to video. I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm just going to do it, and you can see at least what it looks like inside. So let's take it apart. We're going to start with just removing this lower unit. And just so nothing bad happens by accident, I'm going to disconnect power from the battery. Alright, so I think the shift linkage is right in here, but in order to get to the punch, the pin that you need to punch out, you gotta put it in gear. Alright, so you can see there's a tiny little pin in there. I think this is one of those things where maybe a novice makes a better video sometimes, because if you watch those other videos, they're like, oh, just remove the pin. Well, I'm not sure how to do that. I have a nail that I cut the tip off of. I'm going to try to pound it out with that. Okay, so I got a vice grip on the other side. Not really able to just pull it out, but at least I know I'm not going to lose it now. Will help. Oh, it's like a loose tooth. Focus. Now it should be come apart. I don't know what else might be holding it. So let's take the lower unit off. See if we can. If this is going to come out. Alright, there we go. Just like that, she's out of there. I think I'm going to take it inside where it's not below freezing. This is what the lower unit looks like inside. Exhaust is on this motor goes out down here and then through the propeller. It's the water pump and the shift linkage. Now, keeping in mind that you have to do this, or the manual says to do this at least yearly, you should be pretty comfortable doing this. So far, so good. Let's take this off, see what's inside there. Now, because I don't have a manual, I want to take this part slowly so that I do it, get it back together the right way. I've seen some videos where they put a bead of silicone along here to sort of separate the exhaust from the water part. I don't see any evidence that there's any silicone here really. I'm going to separate this out now. Well, there's a reason not to use a sharp chisel to try to open this up. Okay. So there's the impeller. Take that off. Let's see. There's a key on this side right here. Don't want to lose that. And there's a bunch of there's a gasket and a plate. These come with the kit. Let me show you the kit. This is the Tohatsu kit 15112. And it comes with, this is a new cup. There's a metal plate, new impeller, 4 new bolts to replace these, and there's a couple of gaskets. Now I'm just trying to very carefully remove this metal plate from the bottom part of the water pump. And there's 2 gaskets. There's one on top and then the metal plate, and there's another gasket. Now this is turning, this base part, and there's no gasket or anything that I can see between here and the motor. So I don't know if it's missing or I don't know if it exists, but I only received 2 gaskets with the kit, this one and this one. So we're going to go with that. If anyone else takes it apart and they see that there's a gasket between here, why don't you put that in the comments someplace, or confirm that there's no gasket. That'd be nice. Let's just carefully work this off so we don't injure the part below. Alright, part of the kit included a new cup for the impeller to ride in, so that just comes out. It's got a little tab on it. Pretty simple. Goes right back in there. Alright, so you can see that when you turn the shaft, that goes clockwise. If you're looking down from the top, it spins the propeller the right direction. So these fins or vanes are going to go back. They ride backwards in the cup. So I am going to I think I'm going to put it in here first. It's going to go like that. So if I squish it in like that, let me put a little lubricant in there first, just so that it doesn't stick in there. I don't want to use anything that's going to react badly to the rubber and degrade that somehow. So I'll just use a little dish soap in here, which will just provide, at least until I get started, enough lubrication so it doesn't end up sticking to the wall. So now let's see if I can just get this to go here. Let's see, it's going to go down, things go backwards, so I'm going to turn it in this way. There. Okay. So yeah, so those are pointed backwards. Now let's see, there's a place for the key to go, and I think I'm gonna point, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this in there blindly, or if I have to put the impeller on first and then this cup on the top. Let me give it a try. There were a couple of pins, alignment pins I had taken out just so I could scrape that, so I'm going to put those back in. And the gaskets are different. Obviously this one's going to go here, and this one matches up to this. And then these alignment pins will tell you which side goes up. So not that way, that way. And then in between those is this plate then that's going to go on top of that. There's only one way to do it because of these alignment pins, but obviously the sharp part will go down. Okay, so I just set it up on the, so it's upright now. See if I can get that key in the hole. There we go. Make sure that, yeah, it looks like it's trying to flip out on the bottom. There we go. Okay, that seems to like it's come together good, pretty well. Now we're just gonna put our bolts back in. I'm just gonna put a little bit of grease on the end of each of these bolts so they don't end up sticking. All right. And tighten these down. Again, I'm going to remind you, I have never done this. I am not an expert, and this should not be the only video that you're watching. I have no idea what the torque specs are here. I'm going to get them all just sort of snug, and then I'm going to tighten them in a diagonal pattern just until they're tight enough for this plastic housing that it's in. All right, just get the splines cleaned up. Just going to put some ring grease on there, and when you watch those other videos you'll know how important it is not to put any on the top of the shaft here. I think that's the only way you can really screw something up badly by doing this. So don't do that. This is the water take-up tube that's going to go into that little plastic fitting. There is this little divider which divides the exhaust from the other, and I don't see any harm that'll come from me just putting a bead of silicone along there to keep water and exhaust separate, so I'm going to do that. Not much else up there. There's the shift linkage, and the water goes up there and the exhaust comes out of there. Just one of the things I had to be aware of when I was putting that in was just that this tube had to make sure that matched up, and then the splines weren't going together, so if you spin the prop, that, because it's in gear, it's going to spin that shaft and then it fit in up there. I think we're good. Just going to tighten these up now. Alright, when I shoved it back up there, this hole seems to line up perfectly, so I'm going to try to put my pin back in. Let's see if it'll just go in. Yeah, so I was able to just push it in. Now I'm going to just clamp it in the rest of the way with this. There we go. I think that's about it. There's always this tendency to want to over tighten everything, but especially since this is an aluminum case, you really don't want to overdo this. So that's it. I'm going to say we've had success. Unfortunately, because it's going to be below freezing for the next 5 months here, I can't start it up and try it, but I'm sure it's going to work. It'll be fine. I can show you. Next thing I got to do here. Sacrificial trim tab on it. I've ordered a new one of those. Bolt that on. You can also see how the anti-cavitation plate was broken off when I got it. I got a set of Dolphins hydro foils, and you can see this is going to slip on over the top of this, and it's going to bolt on back here where there's plenty of it left. Now, it's not totally supported there, but I think it's going to be plenty supported. So it's kind of like a prosthetic cavitation plate. So I don't want to put that on just yet because I'm going to do some speed tests with different props next spring, and I'm going to do it with and without these hydrofoils. So stay tuned for that.